Hi folks, welcome to the preparedhomestead.com. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch, out checking the roads and checking on friends and neighbors and seeing if there's anything that needs to be taken care of or needs help, because we're having a little bit of an ice storm. Not bad. So far, it looks like it's less than what was predicted. They were saying last night 1/4 to 3/10 of an inch of ice, which is pretty significant. And so far it's looking like maybe 1/10 of an inch. The roads are very slick, but trees and stuff, power lines look pretty good. Been some slide offs in the area, but overall it looks like we're doing good. And the temperature's supposed to come up today above freezing. We're hovering right at freezing now, or close to it. So we may get away with a near hit, a good miss on this one. So we'll see. Just one thing in the news that I thought I'd mention. It's not the point of this video, but apparently the news is reporting that Vladimir Putin has stated that the sale of Alaska to the United States was wrong and illegal, and that it actually belongs to Russia, and that they want it back. So I don't know that there's anything necessarily that'll come of that, but it's interesting that it's gotten to that point, that they're officially stating that's Alaska territory, not the United States. So anyways, what I wanted to talk about is prepping, a collapse, emergency stuff, but all of that in bad conditions. And so many of you over the past couple of weeks have experienced some pretty harsh weather conditions: cold, snow, ice, even down into Florida. Some of you folks in Florida have seen below freezing temperatures, and even in the southern parts of Florida, even like down in the 40s it looks like. So man, it's bad. It's bad when southern Florida gets into the 40s. That's pretty rough. But the point that I was wanting to make is that we have all these plans, right? We have this contingency plan in place, that if the lights go out, if something happens, some type of chaotic situation, some black swan, EMP, World War III nuke, a terrorist attack, something that could be that thing that catapults us into chaotic, crazy times. What happens when that happens and it's already in a bad situation? For instance, an ice storm or a snowstorm, or negative, freezing temperatures below zero, or a tornado or a hurricane or something like that. That's something that we have to plan for also. Odds are, and this is just the way things go in life, if you've been around long enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. Odds are, if something really bad happens, it's not going to be on a perfectly sunny, beautiful day when you're sitting there at the edge of your seat ready for it to happen. Odds are it's going to happen in the middle of the night. It's going to happen in the middle of a tornado or thunderstorm or ice storm or snowstorm or sub-zero freezing temperatures. That's typically how things work. Or maybe just really hot. Your car's broke down. You're in the middle of repairing your vehicle, changing some kind of part in your vehicle, and you've got it all tore up, and you're not going to be able to use it for a day or so. And then it happens right in the middle of that. There's all types of scenarios that could fit into this, where really bad things can happen at the most inopportune times. We have to prepare for that. We have to have a contingency plan, not just to bug out or bug in or get home or run around and fill all the water jugs in the bathtub and all that kind of stuff. We have to have a plan to do those things under the worst conditions. If it's really cold and it's freezing, maybe your pipes freeze and then something happens and you can't fill the water jug. So what's your plan then? Do you have backups to that? Do you have other sources? This is part of having contingencies. In prepping, it's 3 is 2, 2 is 1, 1 is none. And if your plan is for things to happen under good conditions where everything's functioning. The water's running, the electricity's running, your vehicle's running, the weather is just right so that you can bug out or bug in or get home or whatever the plan is. What happens when you throw a wrench into that and the roads are covered in ice and snow, or you have to walk several miles to get to your bug out location and it's -5 outside, or a foot of snow, or high winds and tornadoes and lightning and storms and stuff like that? Do you have a plan for that? And not just for you, but for your family also. Some of you, many of you watching, are the head of the household, and you're thinking, yeah, well, it may suck, but I could handle it. But what about if you have children? Are they capable of that? Are they capable of going out in the middle of the night to fall back to a specified location if the weather is really horrible? Do you have adequate gear for them to throw on? Coats set aside, rain gear, boots, things like that. Have you trained in that way, not to just run out the back door in their pajamas, but to put coats and boots and things like that on? Do you have a plan of how to cook food when the electricity goes out and it's cold and it's raining and there's all kinds of other scenarios going on all at the same time? One of the things that we've seen happen over the last few years is that not any one thing happens at one time. We've watched multiple things happen that exacerbate a situation. And I think, if anything, that should be a learning experience for us, that when bad things happen, they tend to happen in multiple succession. They happen kind of all at once, all in a row, and it just makes a bad situation significantly worse. And that's something that I don't know that a lot of us have really thought through. You know, how bad is it going to be? You know, how can you de-ice something, or dealing with a flood, or dealing with high winds, or rain, or something like that, and getting your preps ready, and trying to survive from whatever massive black swan, apocalyptic, horrible collapse thing is going on. For instance, here in my area this morning, the roads are very, very slick. Not advisable to get out on the roads because there's already reports of cars sliding off, and it's just that glaze. Well, what if the banks collapsed this morning, and your plan is that the first sign of hearing some kind of trouble, you run out and you withdraw money from the ATM, or you run to the convenience store and fill up on gas, or whatever the plan is, but now you can't because, well, everything's covered in ice. Do you have a backup plan to that? That if you can't leave to go do the things, a lot of people have a plan like that in place, that as soon as the first sign that things are getting really, really bad, they run out and they do a quick stock up, or they take the money out of the bank, or they fill up fuel tanks, things like that. Well, what happens when you can't get out? When you can't get out because there's a flood and it's covered the road or the bridge that you have to go through to get out, or if the road's covered in ice, or whatever it is. This is something that we have to plan for. We have to have a contingency plan for the bad times here. That the bad times, not just because of some event, but bad times also because of just nature and the weather and just things that happen. You're trying to, like I said, you're trying to fix your car. You're replacing the brakes on your truck, the truck that is used in case of an emergency so that you can get out, and then something happens. So we need to have contingency plans for our contingency plans, and you need to plan for worst case scenarios. It doesn't mean that the worst case scenario will happen, but you should at least plan for it, because for those of you old enough to know what I'm saying, Murphy's Law says that that's pretty much how it's going to happen. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, taking precautions, coming up with plan A, B, C, and D, and contingencies for when any of those plans do not work. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.